The Monarch Grand Hotel had always been a monument to wealth, status, and silent hierarchies. Its marble pillars rose through the lobby like monuments to privilege, and its gold-trimmed chandeliers scattered warm light across polished floors meant to make ordinary people feel like they did not belong. The guests who entered through its revolving doors often carried themselves with the confidence of importance, and the staff moved with a quiet precision designed to maintain that illusion. It was a place built to impress, intimidate, and separate, and on the day Marcus Reed walked across its gleaming floors, it was a place that would reveal its true values to the world. Marcus entered the lobby with the calm energy of a man who had nothing to prove. He wore a simple dark coat, not the kind that announced wealth, but the kind that suggested confidence. His steps were measured, composed, almost too quiet for someone who held the position he did. But the secret of Marcus Reed was simple. He never needed his appearance to speak for him. His presence alone did. He checked his watch once when he entered. 10 minutes before his board meeting. 10 minutes before decisions would be made that would shape the future of Monarch International. 10 minutes before the hotel manager would make a mistake that would cost her everything. He approached the front desk holding a room key card, the soft blue light glinting as it moved in his hand. He waited politely for the manager to finish giving instructions to a concierge, but even as he stood there, he could already feel eyes on him. Some curious, some judgmental, some amused by assumptions drawn too quickly. In a hotel like the Monarch Grand, assumptions were a kind of currency, and the manager, Linda Walker, spent them often. Linda turned toward Marcus with a smile that vanished the moment she saw him. She straightened her blazer, the stiff fabric creating a sharp line down her arms. Her expression shifted into something colder, something that suggested she believed she already knew who Marcus was and what he wanted. She approached with thin composure and a tone dipped in condescension. "Can I help you?" she asked, as though the question itself were a burden. Marcus offered a small nod. "I'd like to order room service, please." Linda blinked once and then scanned him from head to toe. She didn't see the calm posture. She didn't see the quiet confidence. She didn't see the kind of presence earned only through years of leadership. She saw what she wanted to see. And like so many before her, she let that dictate her reaction. "We don't take orders from non-guests," she said, sliding the room service menu shut in front of him. The sound of the closing menu echoed more loudly than it should have in the spacious lobby. Marcus held up the keycard. Penthouse Suite. Under Marcus Reed. Linda glanced at the card, her lips tightening. "And how did you get this?" she asked, her voice curving with suspicion. Marcus kept his tone level. "I checked in like everyone else." She sighed as if she were exhausted by his existence and leaned closer. "This hotel has a reputation to maintain," she said. "People like you make guests uncomfortable." The lobby didn't go silent, but something shifted. A few guests paused. A nearby couple stopped mid-conversation. A man at the bar turned slightly. Phones lifted subtly, the modern instinct to record everything that resembled conflict. Marcus caught the movement but did not react. He had lived long enough to understand the power of silence. "I'm a paying customer," he said. "I'd simply like dinner delivered to my room." Linda snapped the menu fully shut this time and pushed it aside. "You want service? Prove you can afford it." Security arrived like they had been summoned by an invisible signal. 2 guards approached from opposite sides, forming a loose perimeter behind Marcus. One of them leaned in and whispered loudly enough for multiple phones to capture. "Sir, we need to escort." Marcus kept his eyes on the clock again. 9 minutes. A journalist moved through the curious crowd. Her phone was already live. "Are you refusing a guest service because of his race?" she asked, her voice clear enough to cut through the air. Linda turned toward her, irritation rising. "He isn't a guest. Someone like him can't afford the Monarch." That was the moment the atmosphere changed. The lobby wasn't just watching anymore. It was judging, and judging loudly. The live stream began filling with comment. People demanded receipt. People demanded exposure. People demanded accountability. The Monarch Grand had just become a battleground for dignity, and the world was watching. Marcus stayed steady. "Verify my name," he said. "I'll stand right here." Linda rolled her eyes and began typing harshly into the computer. Her irritation was almost theatrical, her confidence overwhelming, until her screen flashed the truth in front of her. Her expression faltered. Her jaw clenched. She looked again as though hoping the reservation would vanish. Marcus Reed. Owner's Circle Access. Executive Authorization. It didn't just confirm his stay. It confirmed his authority. But instead of acknowledging what she saw, Linda slammed the keyboard back and shook her head. "This system is glitching," she declared. "He's lying." Marcus didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He simply tapped his phone once. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime. A group of 12 men and women stepped out in tailored suits, each wearing a pin bearing 3 engraved crowns. The board of directors of Monarch International. The presence of those pins alone changed the posture of every employee within view. The lead corporate attorney walked forward holding a folder thick with documents. Linda stumbled backward. "Miss Walker," the attorney said, "you are currently obstructing the hospitality rights of..." Marcus stepped forward and finished the sentence. "The CEO of Monarch International." The lobby gasped. Linda's face collapsed into shock. The guards immediately stepped back, their earlier stance evaporating like mist under sunlight. Her confidence evaporated. Her assumptions shattered. Her voice fell to pieces. "You're the CEO?" she whispered. Marcus nodded with the same calm he had carried the entire time. "Every property, every paycheck, every policy you enforced, every rule you thought you controlled." The attorney lifted the folder again. "Mr. Reed requested food," he said. "Instead, he received discrimination, harassment, and attempted removal. All captured on live stream." Linda's lips trembled. "I didn't know," she said. Marcus met her eyes. "You didn't want to know." The board moved behind him like a silent wall of power. Employees peeked from behind counters and guests whispered anxiously. The world outside the hotel poured into the livestream in real time. "Follow me to the boardroom," Marcus said. Linda took a step and her knees weakened. "The boardroom?" she asked. Marcus nodded once. "The meeting I'm about to lead. The one where your employment will be voted on." She stumbled forward as he walked past her, her confidence stripped down to fear. She whispered, "Please, sir," but Marcus stopped only long enough to say, "You demanded proof I belonged here. Now I'm demanding proof you do." The group moved through the hall toward the grand conference room. Inside, the city skyline stretched across the windows, a reminder of the world watching. Marcus took his seat at the head of the table. "Roll the footage," he said. The screens lit up with the lobby scene. Every insult, every dismissive gesture, every moment captured from countless angles. Linda sat in a chair watching her decisions destroy her career in real time. "This lobby is the first test of our values," Marcus said. "Today we failed." He initiated the termination vote. Hands rose immediately. No hesitation. No uncertainty. The conclusion was unanimous. Security escorted Linda out of the room. She cried softly, "I need this job." Marcus stood slowly and faced her. "Then you should have respected the job." She was led past staff, who felt seen for the first time. Past guests who had learned a long overdue lesson. Past cameras that had captured everything. Marcus walked out behind her as applause echoed through the lobby, not for his title, but for his stance. Outside the hotel, the city lights glowed like a celebration. He checked his phone. 8 minutes early. But just as he stepped into his car, his phone vibrated with a message he did not expect. A single sentence that made his expression tighten for the first time that day. "Marcus, we have a problem. Someone on the board set this up." The car door remained open. The world felt suddenly colder. In the reflection of the window, He saw the hotel behind him, glowing with triumph. But triumph had enemies, and one of them was closer than he realized. Marcus stared at the message on his phone, his mind racing. Someone on the board set this up. The words echoed in the quiet interior of the car, cutting through the sense of victory he had just claimed. The hotel, the boardroom, the live stream, all of it had been a battlefield. He had won that fight, but this message told him the war was far from over. He put his phone down and leaned back, eyes narrowing. Monarch International was a giant built on centuries of family legacy, power, and influence. But power always had cracks, and betrayal was a weapon that could slip through those cracks unseen. He thought back to the faces in the boardroom, the smiles that hid secrets, the hands raised without hesitation to vote Linda Walker out. Who among them had reasons to sabotage him? Who would want to see him humiliated? And more importantly, why? His driver pulled up to his private estate, but Marcus didn't move to get out. Instead, he pulled out his secure line and made a call. "Get me the board meeting transcripts, all internal communications from the last 3 months, and any flagged emails," he said. "I want everything on every director and their recent contacts." On the other end, his chief of security and operations responded immediately. "Understood, sir. We'll begin the audit right away." Marcus hung up and stared out the window, the city lights blurring in the rain that had begun to fall. He had spent years building Monarch International into a symbol of black excellence and power. Now, someone inside that very symbol was trying to tear it down from within. His mind flashed back to Linda Walker. She hadn't just been a manager. She was a symptom of a deeper sickness, a culture that had tolerated discrimination, even among those who claimed to oppose it. But she was also a pawn. Someone had engineered her behavior, feeding her prejudices and emboldening her to act. Marcus's phone buzzed again. Another message. A video file this time. He opened it carefully. The video showed a private meeting. The footage was grainy, but the voices were clear. A group of board members, including one with a distinctive silver watch and a deep voice, were laughing about Marcus's upcoming meeting. They spoke of reminding him of his place, of shaking up the balance. The word public humiliation was used several times. Marcus felt a cold rage build inside him. This wasn't just about one woman or one incident. This was a coordinated attack. His position, his leadership, everything he had worked for was being threatened by those who feared change, who feared a black man holding the reins of one of the most powerful corporations in the world. He knew what he had to do. This betrayal had to be exposed, not just to the board, but to the public. Monarch International had to be cleansed of those who sought to poison it from within. But Marcus also knew the stakes. The board had powerful allies. Money, influence, and legacy could drown out truth. He would need allies, strategy, and unyielding resolve. He picked up the phone and dialed an old contact, a journalist known for breaking stories others feared to touch. A woman whose network reached millions and who had a reputation for fearless reporting. "Tell her," Marcus said quietly, "that I have the evidence, that the battle for Monarch isn't over." As he ended the call, the rain poured harder, pounding against the window like the storm that was about to erupt inside Monarch International. Behind closed doors, in a penthouse suite overlooking the city, someone watched the same footage. A slow smile spread across their face. The war had just begun. Marcus sat at his desk, the city skyline glowing through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office. The rain had slowed to a mist, but inside, the storm was raging. His mind raced over the betrayal revealed by the secret video. A conspiracy woven deep within the board of Monarch International, threatening to unravel everything. He knew time was against him. The longer he waited, the more those corrupt voices could bury the truth. But rushing without a plan could leave him exposed, vulnerable to their counterattack. Marcus needed strategy, precision, and allies. His phone buzzed again. This time, a secure message from his chief legal counsel. Preliminary review completed. Several board members have questionable financial ties to competitors. Evidence of influence peddling is emerging. Marcus's jaw tightened. It was worse than he thought. This wasn't just a personal attack. This was a hostile takeover attempt, fueled by greed and fear of change. He stood, stretching the tension from his shoulders. The legacy of Monarch International was on the line, and with it, his vision for a company that reflected integrity, inclusion, and true leadership. The journalist he'd contacted earlier called back. Her voice was calm but urgent. "Marcus, the footage is explosive. I've alerted my editorial team. We're preparing a full exposé. But you need to be careful. The board's powerful allies will fight back hard." He nodded, though she couldn't see it. "I'm ready." That night, Marcus convened a private meeting with his most trusted advisors, the executives and board members who had stood by him through every challenge. They gathered in the war room, the walls lined with screens displaying news feeds, emails, and live social media reactions. "We're facing an orchestrated campaign to discredit the leadership and hijack Monarch's future," Marcus began. "Our first priority is transparency. We will release the evidence of corruption and discrimination publicly, before the opposition can spin their narrative." One of his advisors, a sharp-minded woman named Elena, tapped a tablet. "The legal team recommends filing formal charges against the implicated board members immediately. We can freeze their assets and suspend their voting rights pending investigation." Marcus nodded. "Good. Let's move swiftly." The following days were a whirlwind of press conferences, legal filings, and media appearances. Marcus's team laid bare the conspiracy for the world to see. The public responded with overwhelming support, a powerful wave of voices demanding justice and accountability. But behind the scenes, the fight grew fiercer. Anonymous threats arrived. Shadowy calls warned Marcus to back down. One morning, his security chief discovered a breach in their systems. Someone was trying to hack sensitive files. Marcus felt the pressure mounting, but he refused to back down. His conviction only grew stronger. Late one evening, as he reviewed documents in his office, a message appeared on his screen. "You're not alone." It wasn't signed, but the sentiment was clear. Someone inside Monarch still believed in the vision Marcus fought for. An ally, hidden but ready to act. The next board meeting was scheduled in 3 days. Marcus prepared to face his enemies head-on, armed with truth and determination. As he looked out over the city once more, he knew this battle was far from over, but the tide was turning. And somewhere in the shadows, the traitor watched, waiting for the next move. The day of the board meeting arrived faster than Marcus had hoped. The grand conference room was filled with tension so thick it felt almost physical. Directors whispered nervously behind their hands. The cameras were positioned strategically. This was no longer a private corporate battle. It was a public reckoning. Marcus entered the room with calm certainty, his presence commanding attention without a word. The opposition tried to mask their anxiety behind forced smiles, but Marcus saw it all clearly. The shifting eyes, the clenched jaws, the whispered urgencies. He took his seat at the head of the table and signaled for the meeting to begin. The legal counsel opened the session by outlining the evidence. Documents revealing bribery, emails exposing plans to sabotage Marcus's leadership, video footage of the discriminatory incident at the Monarch Grand, and the subsequent cover-up attempt. One by one, implicated board members were called to respond. Their defenses fell apart under the weight of undeniable fact. Some remained silent. Others tried to deflect blame. But the truth was relentless. Then came the moment Marcus had prepared for, addressing the board himself. "This company represents more than profits," he said evenly. "It represents a commitment to integrity, dignity, and respect for every person who walks through our doors. Today, we have witnessed what happens when those values are compromised." He paused, letting the words settle like a verdict. Monarch International will no longer tolerate corruption or discrimination, no matter the source. The decisions we make today will determine the legacy we leave, not just for this company, but for the communities we serve. The room was silent, the weight of his words impossible to ignore. The vote was called. Hands raised swiftly, many with relief, others with resignation. The corrupt members were removed from their positions, and a plan to restructure the board with fresh, diverse leadership was approved unanimously. As the meeting adjourned, Marcus felt a wave of exhaustion mixed with triumph. This was a victory hard won, but the real work was only beginning. Outside the boardroom, employees and guests who had witnessed the transformation whispered with hope and renewed faith. Monarch International had taken its first true step toward becoming the company Marcus had always envisioned. But just as he turned to leave, his phone buzzed with a new message, a simple phrase that sent a chill down his spine. "This is just the beginning." Marcus stood alone on the balcony of his penthouse, the city sprawling beneath him like a sea of possibilities. The battle had been brutal, the enemies many, but today justice had prevailed. He looked out at the horizon, knowing that leadership was not just about power, it was about standing firm in the face of adversity, about demanding respect and dignity for all, and about never backing down from the truth. The Monarch Grand, once a symbol of exclusion, was now a beacon of change. But Marcus knew the fight for equality and justice was far from over. To everyone watching this story unfold, remember this: discrimination is a choice, but so is courage. You have the power to stand up, to speak out, and to demand better. If Marcus's story moved you, if you believe that dignity should never be questioned, then make your voice heard. Like this video to show your support. Comment below to share your thoughts and stories. And subscribe for more powerful stories where justice triumphs and true leaders rise. Together, we change the narrative. Together, we build a future where respect is non-negotiable. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay proud, and stay empowered.